Bogdanovich between Porzingis' legs last night. Was it necessary? Was it unnecessary? Was it necessarily unnecessary? Was it the diamond play of the game for Morgan Jewelers? Also,
Aaron Rodgers, he would buy me 400 popsicles.
Let's go around the horn. We're going to do a show like that for April Fools. It's going to be the post-op edition of Around the Horn.
If you bring the popsicles, I'm there.
The expression, run it up the flagpole and see, you're familiar with this, right? Rob Manfred. Well, he got the flagpole turned around and bolted back at his face, Mondo Duplantis style. A postseason expansion proposal, not met with wide approval, but we're going to give it a fair chance here to look at it. The format you see before you, going from 10 playoff teams to 14 playoff teams. Have the two teams with the best records get a bye. The teams with the remaining best records choose their first round opponents. Clinton Yates, you cover Major League Baseball. You're also a rational human being. How does this strike you?
It strikes me as a solution to a non-problem. If I'm supposed to believe that Major League Baseball is overhauling the playoff system because they think that, more fans are going to tune in the regular season, I don't see this being the way. Or perhaps they're trying to distract from the Astros. Maybe the case for a couple of days. But if you break that down, after all, then you're dealing with people who are going to be watching anyway. And why we like it is because the playoff system, Major League Baseball, is the best already there is. I like the one-game format. It offers a fun solution. But moreover, think about this. For it to be easier for teams to get into the playoffs, you've got situations like the Brewers, who have been there twice and end up slashing their payroll. They can still get in without having to pay to compete in the same way, and that's ultimately why I don't like it. It rewards mediocrity in a way that I do not think is healthy for the game overall.
Woody Page, how does it strike you?
Well, Clinton, I think you left out one aspect here. More money from the TV networks if they have more playoff games and more playoff teams. That seems to me to be the root of what's going on here. But I got the feeling, and I'm sure Kevin would agree with me, that after work in New York, a bunch of the young executives of Major League Baseball said, let's go down and have some beers and talk this over. And they sat there and went, well, here's an idea, more playoff teams. Well, let's have a reality show. Let's let the teams pick their opponents. Let's make it 3 games. And so they just went beyond all hope of what you really should be doing. If you're going to worry about the game, how about shortening the length of the games? How about dealing with cheating? How about dealing with replay?
I believe they're trying.
Why don't you do
with
that?
All those things. And this was another. Well, let me say this as we introduce Sarah Spain here. There are other leagues, NBA, NHL, where over 50% of teams make the playoffs. Baseball isn't like that. This gets them closer. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think the obvious problems are what Clinton pointed to. One is also that they'll be programming against their own wild card games and the NFL when they introduce multiple games at once if they're trying to get more eyeballs. Also, maybe the trade deadline isn't as exciting because more teams are contenders down the stretch, so they're less likely to sell, so we don't have as many big acquisitions. But beyond that, I actually like it. I think if you change this, someone did the numbers over the last 8 seasons, if they had implemented this, 27 of the 30 teams would have made the playoffs at least once. We get a chance to see someone like Mike Trout in the playoffs potentially more often. Only 4 of the 112 teams that would have made it in that last 8 years would have had a losing record. So you're not introducing that much mediocrity, although you are allowing for teams that potentially had serious injuries or trade acquisitions that changed their favor to compete later. And maybe by the end of the season, they are contenders. I think the schadenfreude that's possible with choosing your own opponent on television and then getting the breaks off you by said opponent is amazing. We don't see anything like that in sports. There's no other sport where you get to pick who you want to play against. You can try to manipulate the regular season to get there, and I don't think it even devalues the regular season.
All right. Save the rest for your FaceTime, Sarah Spain. Kevin Blackistone, how does this strike you?
Well, it strikes me that Sarah will probably be watching baseball after having Thanksgiving dinner if they expand the playoffs like they're going to do it here. I don't want to watch baseball that late into November. But the key word here for me is subterfuge. That's what this is all about. Clinton, you hinted at it. We just had Charlie Morton come out and apologize and say that he wished he had stopped things with the Astros when he had a chance. We just had a former Major League player sue the Astros for ending his career through their cheating scandal. We've yet to hear the commissioner address this. We're about to have pitchers and catchers report, and everybody's going to be at the Astros training facility asking questions about one of the biggest scandals to hit sports ever. And that's what we're not not talking about, because Manfred is brilliant. He flipped the script on everybody and said, here you go. Let me dangle this in front of the media and have them talk about this foolishness.
Do you not want to address it at all because you believe it's subterfuge? Do you not believe expansion in the playoffs is
They don't need expansion in playoff. Mike Trout just needs to play better and get on a better team. The only thing I like about it is they get rid of the one-game playoff, which I've never thought was appropriate for a team, a league in which you play 160
Glenn Yates
games.
back in.
The one-game playoff was the coolest part about the playoff going back in the day. Check on the Mariners for that. But if Major League Baseball wants more people to watch their games, how about you simply make it available on their televisions and mobile devices so that they can do it without some huge problem and some huge fence to jump over?
Well, the first thing you do, go back to 154 games, Kevin, then you can actually work it in. And I'd like to choose Sarah as my team I want to compete against in Showdown.
Okay, thank you for getting the record out there. Chances this actually happens. Sarah Spain, you want to throw out a percentage? We play odds maker like we do on PTI?
Exactly as proposed. I think there will be some changes based on some of the backlash, but I think probably 60-40.
KB?
I would say 60-40 on the 3-game series because that gets you more money for the MLB.
I'd say 30. They're getting it out there now because the CBAs and the TV deals end at the same time. You can wrap it all up and try to figure it out for the next one.
75% that
75% chance they expand the playoffs. Okay. We've been horned. We'll move on. Does anybody know how many passes Taysom Hill has thrown in his career?
15.
15 is correct if you count the postseason. 13 is correct if you only count the regular season. Yates and Spain getting the points. Blackstone.
I said 13.
I didn't hear that, Woody. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to dock you points either. Everybody gets points. You get points. You get points. He's telling the Associated Press, I definitely view myself as a franchise quarterback. He is a restricted free agent. KB, how do you hear Taysom Hill there?
I hear him saying, I'm 30 years old. I'm looking around the Saints organization I'm with. I see Breeze may retire. I see Teddy Bridgewater may or may not be here, depending on what Breeze does. And I want a chance to actually be a full-time quarterback in the NFL, which is what I was in college, which is what I came into the league being. I just don't want to be this guy, this action figure who comes onto the field every now and then. And you know what? If he wants to do that, great for him. He just may have to do it someplace else and not with the Saints.
So that's his strategy. That's how you view it in his head. How do you view it in your head?
I'm all for it. I mean, the guy was a quarterback in college. He was pretty decent. He came into the league as a quarterback, and he's never gotten a shot down there except in special situations. And if Teddy Bridgewater leaves and Breeze is left and plays one more year, then maybe he's got a shot. Give him a chance to showcase those skills.
Yates, can I bring you in here?
Yeah, but that's the point, is that the only chance he has to be a starting quarterback is with the Saints. He went on to say it'd be great to find out what people think about you on the open market. I don't think that's a game you want to play, Playboy, because people are actually watching you. You get to some other team, you might be out of the league faster than you think. And so the path there, for me, is staying in New Orleans. If that means that he's not going to end up being starting for a couple seasons, so be it. But I just don't see this guy as a talent level at that age to walk into another franchise and suddenly leave.
Let's get to the crux of the issue here, Woody Page, all right? 13 career regular season passes, 15 when you count those 2 that he's had in the postseason. Can you expect a team to be interested in him as a starting quarterback right now?
That's too small a sampling. You're talking about Tim Tebow after his first year in the league. You're talking about Cordell Stewart, who was the original Slash and really did the same kind of things that we're seeing out of Hill. I think the best thing for him to do, and Clinton sort of touched on it, is stay in New Orleans, see how much longer Drew Brees plays, and then you'll get your opportunity. Nobody wants you in the league as a starting quarterback. They're just not going to hand you the job.
Sarah Spain, your view of it?
Yeah, you can't expect a team to look at a guy who's 3 of 6 last season and has 15 total passes over 3 seasons as a viable person to be a starting quarterback. He absolutely has to leave the Saints if he wants to do this, because Drew Brees is in front of him, and that team that has seen him day in and day out already decided, we know you're not our backup and you're certainly not our starter, because we went and paid a ton of money to Teddy Bridgewater to do that, which means he would have to go somewhere else and hope that there was a team, particularly a team with a more limited starting quarterback, that would want to use a Swiss Army knife type guy like him more often. But even then, no, it's too late into his career for him to suddenly decide that he can be a starting
Blackstone after the horn.
Well, I would just say if he had never really played, then what would his chances be? Then we may say, this is a guy who was playing behind Drew Brees. He is a quarterback. Let's bring him into camp and see what he can do as a full-time quarterback. And I think that's a legitimate opportunity.
Brady over Dak. for the Dallas Cowboys. Bill Plaschke said it on this here program last week. Michael Irvin said it last week as well. That's the only time in history anyone has gone from Plaschke to Irvin. And now Peter King is thinking it. Sarah, is there something here? Can you see Jerry Jones looking at Tom Brady instead of signing Dak?
I could see Jerry Jones doing it, and that's why it's important there's other people around Jerry Jones to say, whoa, no way, dude. Not a 42-year-old whose skills are already slipping in replacement of a guy that we've been building around and know is our franchise quarterback for years to come. Whether or not you're in win now mode or win in a couple years mode, Dak is a better choice than Brady, other than just to have some shiny object that Jerry Jones can play with. But, this is absolutely not going to happen, and it would be a terrible move.
Woody Page?
Yes, I totally agree with Sarah that really this was a guy, Jerry Jones, who a few years ago wanted Paxton Lynch instead of Dak Prescott. Now you got Dak Prescott who's playing extremely well, and if you go get Tom Brady, you're going to have to pay him the $30+ million that you're going to have to pay Dak. It makes no sense whatsoever that you've got a quality quarterback and you would go out and bring in Brady to that system for a year. Really, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Glenn Yates?
Never mind the headache he's going to bring. If you don't address this and address this quickly, the level of doubt you've signaled toward Dak Prescott that you not necessarily believe in him as the long-term franchise quarterback could do damage to that player that you don't want to do. This would be stupid on every level, not just the level.
Okay, that's three people who are selling. Kevin Blackistone, is there anything in your head that says Jerry Jones might make this move, Brady over Dak Prescott?
I mean, only if he wants to blow up his immediate future, or I should say the future for the next few years, because I just can't see you bringing in Tom Brady, who you wouldn't sign for, let's say, a 5-year deal, and getting rid of Dak Prescott. I just can't see that happen. It does not make sense.
What do you want a last word after the horn?
Sure, the Chargers and the Raiders can go out and he'll be a gate attraction. They draw 90,000 in Dallas. He's not going to bring any more people than that.
KB, you said the immediate future is. Do you have different types of future here? Your future's ahead of you, and in your future, I see buy or sell on the other side. Stick around.
Immediately.
How do you judge someone? Not by what they say, by what they do. We're a nation of doers. What's Mike Bloomberg about? Doing things. A middle-class kid worked his way through college. An entrepreneur, Bloomberg built a global news and information business from scratch. Mayor of a diverse, progressive city, Mike Bloomberg rebuilt after 9/11, creating nearly 500,000 jobs, improving health care and public schools. Now he's running for president, and Mike's the change we need. From chaos to steady leadership, from lies to someone who believes in facts and data, from divisiveness to someone who builds teams, nurtures good ideas, and holds himself accountable for results. Mike Bloomberg knows how to lead, to build, to deliver, to do. He'll win and unite this country. Mike will get things done.
I'm Mike Bloomberg, candidate for president, and I approve this message because we need to deliver on the promise of the American dream. Paid for by Mike Bloomberg 2020.
Welcome back to Around the Horn, brought to you by Chase. Coming to you from the Seaport District at Pier 17.
We can play a new game in buy or sell if you guys want. Good tamper or bad tamper? Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid's Menchies. I know a place where villains are welcome. Embiid's response to his old buddy, and also his response to Sixers fans. If I could take it, then you could take it. Phil tough, all love. He had a process in there as well in his responses. Clinton, what do you buy? What do you sell?
I'm buying good tampering in the NBA. It's what makes the league more interesting than the rest. To see the banana boat for that little piece of fun. And also, I'm buying the fact that maybe Embiid should just get better on the court, and then we'll all have no problems with the social. Come on, man. You can do both.
Woody Page?
I'm buying all of it. This is the Embiid I like. The one who's the comedian, who's having fun with the fans and with other players. And that's exactly what he was doing. And Jimmy Butler was just having fun with his former team and his former teammate. Nothing but a good time here.
All right, so you don't believe there was any tamper, any ill intention with the tamper? Sarah Spain, how about you?
I don't think this started out with fun. This started out with my own fans are booing me. I've been along the road for this process the whole time. I used to be a part of this is what's going to be great, and now I'm getting booed, and I'm a villain for my own people. I think Jimmy Butler's smart to tamper because that Sixers team is already a mess, and if you can be outside of it, stir the pot a little bit, you're setting yourself up for some playoff issues.